nice to feel young. It doesn't happen so often these days. But I'm very honored. They are two cinema greats, and yeah, I feel a little bit humbled by that. Answering these questions, because I'm very close with a lot of the directors that, you know, they become your friends, your family. There's a couple of standouts, and yes, going back to your question before, I've had great fortune of working with incredible talent, great directors, great actors, and so many of the experiences have been really, really special and really empowering to me as an artist. And but you know, I'd be lying if I didn't highlight one of them, and I'm sure it's obvious to you all that the David Lynch project was a real turning point in my life. I'm someone who had been trying to get a job in Los Angeles for 10 years before I got picked for that film, and it was a breakthrough for me. Not just that the film ended up great, but such an incredible role. I mean, two characters really in one film that was so opposite from one another that it could only, you know, a whole career could not necessarily do you get that fortune of playing such diametrically opposed roles. And I got it in one film. So, and David Lynch, you know, is in my heart and soul because he gave me that opportunity. So that's a real standout, special one for me. And then not long after that, 21 Grams comes along, again, a brilliant filmmaker, Alejandro, who's a really great friend of mine, and now, and being sandwiched between Sean Penn and Benicio del Toro. I mean, it was an actor's delight. And those, just working with that kind of talent, it just elevates you. And since then I've had a lot of, you know, it feels unfair to not talk about others, but we'll be here all day. Very little time spent. In fact, I met him on the set. He called me and asked me to do it, but there was no rehearsal period whatsoever. And like I said, he surrounds himself with people that have obviously been on his team for, you know, 2 or 3 decades. So there's very little discussion. It sort of becomes very fluid, and it's the same. I think he, with his actors, he, you know, talks about how the scene will move and the camera moves often, most of the time actually. I knew this going into it. Everybody said 2 takes, you know, it's done. And in fact, the first day I was so nervous, and we were shooting in a train, and it's a tiny little compartment, and he doesn't even use the word action. He just goes, let's do it. And I thought we were rehearsing, and I said my lines, and then he went, great, let's move on. And this was my first day, my first line, my first scene, everything. And so I didn't even really have a chance to get nervous. And I was in shock. I had no idea. And, you know, my whole part was shot in about 3 weeks. And it was only on the 2nd week, or towards the end of the 2nd week, that I actually plucked up the courage to ask him for another take. I was thinking, you know, maybe he doesn't like to do it that way, but at the same time, you want to know that you've given your best. But you also trust him because he's made good film after good film, and and it's just how he rolls.